Hello everybody. My name's Brenda. My channel is Handwork Maniac. Welcome back. It is summer vacation for me. It has finally started. Yesterday, I am done with work. I am done with work for the summer. I work at a school as the administrative secretary at the local public junior high. And school ended the end of May, but then I work 2 more weeks into the summer getting stuff ready for next year and cleaning up stuff from this year. But I do not have to work in the middle of the summer. I get about 6 weeks off. I'm back on July 31st. I'll be back regular full-time, 7:30 to 4, Monday through Friday. And then I have to go in 3 times in the next 6 weeks to do payroll. But I just have to go in until I'm done with payroll, and then I get to leave. Don't have to stay for however long it takes. It should only take an hour or 2 each time I go in. So welcome to summer. I told several people I was going to run around the house this morning saying, it's summer, it's summer. And I did. That was fun. All right. StitchCon. I am going to StitchCon. It is the last weekend in June, but I decided to go since I was going that far east. I'm in Utah. And it's in Ohio, that I would look and see if some of my friends that I knew from some retreats I went back in the 2007, 8, somewhere back in there. I went to several retreats with some friends and haven't seen them since, so I was checking to see if they were available to get together. So I am leaving a week from today, Thursday the 20th, and I'll be in Ohio for 10 days. I can't wait. And then at the end, I'll go to StitchCon and then I'll come home. So fun. I need to definitely start packing for that and get some stuff ready to go to that. I had a couple of viewers. Oh, and thanks. I always forget to say thanks to everybody who watches, who comments. I love it. I enjoy you all. It's like we know each other and we're a community, and I'm showing you my stitching and you're showing me yours, and we talk about it, and you're all just fabulous. Thank you so much. I enjoy the interaction with you so much. You're all just wonderful. But I had a couple of commenters ask about my rotation, my crazy rotation. So I thought I'd explain that for just a minute. And because I'm huge into visual aids, I made you a visual aid. Okay. So I have a couple of things that I do daily. Twisted band sampler is my current, I don't know what you'd call it, challenge piece. It needs a little bit every day. And it's I'll show it to you in a minute. It's a band sampler where each band is the same color, same stitch all the way across. So yeah, I have a hard time working on it for a long time in a city. So it works perfect to do it 30 to 60 minutes every day, the first thing when I sit down. I work on that. So that's kind of my daily piece. It used to be a Hawk Run Hollow forever, and I've had a Hawk Run Hollow piece going for, gosh, the last 10 or 15 years. But right now, since I finished 4 of them, I don't have a Hawk Run Hollow piece going right now. It feels so strange. For me, this is backwards, so I'm trying to read backwards. My Healing Garden piece, it's like a temperature garden, only it's tracking migraine headaches. I should get that caught up every day, but I generally wait until like Saturday. Every couple weeks on a Saturday I'll get it caught up. Right now it's a couple of months behind because work was so nuts, but now that it's summer I will get that caught back up and show it to you when it's caught up. And then I do have a full coverage Disneyland piece that I try and get 400 stitches in a week. And I try and just fit that in whenever I have a little extra stitching time during the week, but quite often that doesn't happen until Saturday either. So those are just kind of supposed to be happening everyday stuff. Okay, so then I have a focus piece that I work on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And that's the one I want to make the most progress on. That's what I'm really focusing on this month, either trying to get it done or get it a bit of work done on it. Right now, and I usually have a monthly assignment from Mania. You'll remember that 11 of those had a monthly assignment, and a lot of them I can finish in a month. The one for June, Arcade by Long Dog Samplers, is not going to be finished in a month. But that is my focus piece for, should be if I was following my rotation, it would be my focus piece for June. And it will be most likely when I get back from StitchCon. Right now my rotation is kind of all weird. Tuesdays and Thursdays I kind of used to work on whips that I'm not really excited about, but I'd like them to be done. So that I try and touch them at least once a week and spend, I usually during the year when I'm working, I work 7:30 to 4. I usually get, on a good day, I'll get an hour or two in before dinner and then another 2 hours after dinner. So 4 hours is normal for me on a weeknight. Saturdays I get a good 6 to 10 hours depending on the day, sometimes even more than that depending on if I have other things I have to do that day. Sundays are a really busy day for me. Church, and then I have church responsibilities to take care of. Family, we quite often get together with family on Sundays. So Sundays I only work on stitching maybe an hour or two right before I go to bed. So these ones on Tuesday and Thursday could get possibly, 3 hours each on them once a week. So my Tuesday piece right now is the Christmas stockings. My daughter-in-law Hannah's stocking right now, and then as soon as I finish this one, I want to do my daughter-in-law Lauren's stocking, and those, hoping to have those done by Christmas. And then that, after Christmas, this will turn back into a whip slot. Languishing whip that needs to get moving along. Thursday right now is Petite House, but that one is almost done. I'll show you that in a minute. I'll show you Hannah's stocking and Arcade in a minute too. So as soon as Petite House is done, I think this slot's going to turn into Shepherd's Fold, which is one of my Stitch 9 challenge pieces. It was also one of my Mania whips. So it'll either be Shepherd's Fold or French bird houses. Will go in this slot right here. Saturday is the day that I get a lot of stitching on usually. And Victorian Charm is the Saturday piece. That's the Victorian pink and blue house with the kitty in the window and the kitty coming to visit. I try and work on that on Saturdays when I'm in my normal rotation. And I usually, and then I have 2 monthly mystery stitch-alongs I'm participating in that I try really hard to stay caught up on. So Words to Live by Tiny Modernist, and Seize the Day by Caterpillar Cross Stitch. So quite often it ends up either during this focus time on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I'll quite often work on them there as well. And on Saturdays, I'll try and get those caught up. The Tiny Modernist Words to Live by, they're not very big. I can usually spend 2 or 3 nights, maybe an hour or two or 3 times, and get that one caught up. Seize the Day takes a little bit longer, but usually I can get them, its monthly piece done in like a week in the middle of working on all this other stuff. And that's usually my catch-up day. Anything that didn't get done during the week that was supposed to, I try and get caught up on Saturday. And then I just recently started a separate Sunday piece. It was just weekend piece was Victorian Charm, but I really wanted to do one that was religious oriented on Sunday. I thought that would be fun. And everyone was doing A Savior's Praise, and I seriously thought about doing that one, but I also remembered that a group of stitchers I stitch with in Salt Lake was starting a stitch along for Morning Has Broken, and I needed to participate in that, and so I made that my Sunday piece. All right, clear as mud, right? So if my life was in order, that's what I would be doing. Mania for May kind of I suspended my rotation for Mania. Mania was just Mania in May. That was all I was working on. Although I did keep working on Petite House and Hannah's stocking because those both have end of June deadlines. But and I told you last time that when my Mania ended on May 19th, because I did 19 new starts the first 19 days of May, and then I was just going to continue on for the rest of May and into the first week of June and do them all over again. Each one would get 1 more day. And on my last video, I showed you where I got to on that. I worked on 3 more things after the last video, and then we were at the end of May by then, and I had those 2 June deadlines, and I needed to get caught up on my monthly stitch-alongs, mystery stitch-alongs, and so I kind of stopped finishing those Mania pieces. So I'll show you right now I'll do that first. I got through 3 more mania pieces before I decided was just going to move on to my June plans. So first was, I worked on Twisted Band Sampler. It was one of my mania whips. So I didn't have 19 new starts. I had 15 new starts and, no, 14 new starts, and then I always include 5 whips in my mania plans. And this was a whip. And I did finish this medium blue stripe and got to start on the green. You're all looking at me like she's nuts. And sorry, very end of a upper respiratory virus. And got to start the light green. How exciting is that? But not very far. So there's usually just a plain cross-stitch band, and then, well, there always is, and then a specialty band. And each band has 2 colors in it. So this cross-stitch band has 2 colors in it. This cross-stitch band has the medium green and the light green. This specialty band had the dark green and the medium green. Excuse me. So I just finally got into that light green. So excited. So why do I never bring a glass of water over here when I start filming, right? All right, and then I worked on, now I'm losing my mind. I worked on Sleeping Princess. By Mirabilia, a little bit. That was a new start for me. This is what she looks like. I think she's Princess in the Pea. She's just called Sleeping Princess. I haven't looked really closely, but I can't see a pea in there, but there might be. I need to look a little closer and see. But that's what she makes me think of, is Princess and the Pea. I started right in the middle where her sheet or her blanket is draping down, those lovely blues. And this is where how much I have done. See if I could get it up there. Loving those blues on this is a light green. 32 count. Water lily, I want to say. It's in the description box below. It will be as soon as I put that together. By the time you see this, yes, it will be in the description box. Using the called for colors on that. It was not the called for fabric only because I couldn't find the called for fabric. It wasn't available anywhere, so I chose one very similar. According to the picture anyway, that's a very similar color to what it called for. And then the third one, mania piece that I got one more day on, was Autumn Garden by the Drawn Thread. Brian at Stitch is doing this seasonal garden series. He started on winter, I think. And I decided to start with autumn, kind of a stitch along. So I got a little bit more done on that. I started in the center, so this is the center house. Being all wrinkly, because I folded it up right in the middle. But that was fun. It is on 40 count Newcastle's Weigart Sand by Silkweaver with the called for colors. I'll floss. And then that was when I decided I was not going to do one more day on the rest of the mania pieces. I was just going to go on with my June plans and get caught up on some things. So, oh, and then on my last video, you know how Catherine worked on Abecedare Berthe Dupont for me. And so I decided I needed to get that out and get it, since it was summer and I was going to have more time to work on it, I needed to get that sorted out. So as you'll recall, I had issues with the pattern and wasn't sure on a couple of the colors. The top, well, here, let's get it out. So I pulled that out and worked on it. Got the pattern printed all correctly. It was, I'll put this in the description box below. I had a wonderful, wonderful viewer, and sorry I did not write down your name. I should have gone back to look. But she very kindly did some research for me. Found out that the pattern was available for free just for a short time between 2010 and 2011, I believe. I remember hearing about it on the Legacy chat board at the time. That was how I heard about the free download and in it. After that, it's still available. That viewer also provided the link, sent me the link where you can still purchase it from the designer, and I will put that in the description box below in case you're interested. So I pulled it out and worked on it. Catherine, I did maybe this much of the border, about that much. And then Catherine worked on it. I started this several years ago. 10 maybe? No, because I only got it in 2010. So maybe 6 or 7 years ago I started this. Catherine has taken it home for Mother's Day twice to work on it. So the first time she took it home, she did the border down to here, and then she ran out of the floss that I had in the bags that I had started with. This was the whole 470, 471 story. I had bought new floss because I knew it was going to take more than what I had just pulled out of my stash. Come to find out, what we bought was not the same color anymore because DMC occasionally has to change their color recipe depending on what ingredients are readily available, responsibly sourced. So every once in a while they have to change their recipe, which slightly changes the color. So then I told you guys about that back in January when I showed up for my whip parade, and you were also fabulous and sent me all your old floss, so I have plenty of that, thank you. And so then this year when Catherine took it home for Mother's Day, she did from here all the way around to the other side. But as you saw in my last video, she left me one repeat over there to work on, to finish. She wasn't going to do the whole border for me. I hate borders. I really hate repetitive borders. Oh my goodness, especially a very complicated like this one is. It's like a mini piece 100 times in a row. So I did finish this red flower and all of this and started right here. And then I added this, started on one of the motifs. So what I started to tell you is up here, these letters there's only 4 colors up here in these letters, and it's the same colors that's in the border. But down here in the motifs, there's a couple of other colors. There are only maybe 8 colors in this piece altogether, and this is the DMC. So I started on this motif and realized that there's a light tan and a kind of a taupe. It has no yellow in it. It's very a gray tan. A medium and a light of that goes in all of these motifs. And that central flower, that yellow flower, was in that light taupe. And I did not like it. So I chose a yellow that's in the same color family as this darker yellow. I want to say this is 676, and this is maybe 677 or 679. I'll put that in the description box as well. And I like it much better. I will continue to use this. There were several flowers down here that light taupe is used in. Whenever it's used in a flower, I will continue to use this light yellow that I added. But there are also some birds down here and a little house. So if it's used in those, I chose a different light brown and medium brown that I liked better than the light taupe and medium taupe. So anytime that there's brown down here in the birds in the house, I'll change to those other two colors. And then the greens were not the original called for either. So maybe I should just list all of that in the description box. Okay, so these, let's show you a picture of the pattern. How about that? All right, here's what it looks like. You can see that this flower is that really light off-white taupe. I don't know what color to call it. It's used down here. It's in these birds quite a bit, but it's also in some of the flowers. And then the greens, well, let's do the taupe. This is the 644 and 3790 are the original colors that it called for. This was going to be all those flowers, and then a little bit darker. And I changed to this light brown and this medium brown instead. That's what I'll use on the birds in the house when it calls for those two colors. There are two golds as charted, which I am using as charted, 782 and 729. And then that lighter gold that I added to anytime that light taupe is used in a flower is 676. And I thought those three went together nicely. The reds, I'm using the called for reds. There's 3 of them. But the greens, all of the green in this pattern was originally 371 and 831. It is a very brown green. You can see the difference. I changed it to be 470 and 471, just those two. So I changed to these, more of a yellow green. All right, that was complicated, but I will list all of that in the description box below if you're interested. I usually wouldn't have any of this on camera. I would have it either on a table further forward so you couldn't see it, or down here on this bench that goes to this table so you couldn't see it, or on the floor. And I thought it would be fun today to let you see at least some of the mess that happens when you're making a video. You still can't see everything that's on the floor or a bit lower down or that's in front of you. Maybe. So that's the front of the table. And then we shifted, sorry. All right. What came after that? And then I needed to get caught up on my mystery stitch along, so I'd worked on those. Seize the Day by Caterpillar Cross Stitch. Comes out on the 25th every month, I believe. So that's where that is. This month it was this umbrella, this bag, this. I was thinking this was an ice cream cone, and I was like, that is a weird ice cream cone. I finally realized it's like fish and chips or something in a paper cone. 2 sandcastles with little flags on top, the sunglasses. Oh, and the shoes, the flip-flops. This one is a 9-month stitch along, I believe, and it started in January, so I'm thinking it'll be done somewhere around September. Using all the called for colors, but I did change the fabric to Lakeside Linens 36 count maritime white. And I'm using 2 strands on 36 count because I wanted the colors to be very saturated. And the other mystery monthly stitch along that I participate in is Words to Live By by Tiny Modernist. A needle in it. This was this month's. If you can dream it, you can do it. It was a lot of oranges, made me think of a dreamsicle. And the word dream, but I love the green in there too. These two, orange and green together, especially these two orange and greens, like the green in my shirt. Can you tell that's one of my favorite colors? I love it against the orange. And this is where that is all together. This is a 13-month stitch along, I believe. It started in January, and I think it goes until this coming January or February. However, until we get all those blocks done. September, October, November, December, January, February. Yep, February will be the last one. So it's just one block a month. I think the center is my very favorite. Oh, that's better. It was washing out. Has such beautiful colors in it. This is, you can still join either one of these stitch alongs in process. CaterpillarCrossStitch.com has their own website. Tiny Modernist might have their own website. You're all out there screaming at me that they either do or don't, but I signed up, I believe, on Etsy. I searched for it on Etsy and got it that way. But it could have been I just clicked on a link at Etsy and ended up at their website. I don't know. I don't remember, and I wasn't paying attention. And I am using the called for colors on 32 count, I believe, black linen. DMC. Both of those are DMC. Okay, so I got those two caught up, barely. That Tiny Modernist comes out on the 15th. I usually get it in my email the evening of the 14th. So tonight, I will get the next section for that, which I would love to. I'll either try and get it done before I go to StitchCon, or I'll wait until I get back from StitchCon and worry about it then. All right, showed you that one. Petite House. Okay, so Petite House by Sodastitch. They are in South Korea. Love that designer. I love their bright colors. I got mine on Amazon.com. They're also available on many other resellers. But Amazon.com is one of their official outlets. So it's easy. They don't come in 2 days. It was more like a week. A little more than a week, I think I had them. But that was a fabulous way to order them. Those ladies that I went to the retreats with back in 2007 back east, we belonged to, still do, an old chat board called Only One You. And they have a fun challenge every January. It usually starts the end of January, where you pick a new piece. It has to be at least 120 by 120, and you have 20 weeks to finish it. So it always ends at the end of June. And I kept meaning to look up the due date for that and kept forgetting that, I don't need to worry about that. I'll worry about that when work ends. I'll worry about that. It's the end of June. It's 20-something in the end of June. So last night I got on the chat board finally and was getting caught up. And she was reminding us that the deadline for this is tomorrow, the 15th, by midnight. Eastern time, I am 2 hours ahead of Eastern time, so midnight Eastern time will be 10 o'clock for me. So tomorrow night by 10 p.m., this plus another piece has to be done, because this was not quite 120 by 120, so then I had to choose a tiny smaller piece that would all add up to 120 by 120. Fun challenge. I love doing it every year. So I stitched on this. I didn't stitch last night because I was tending my grandkids, but I got up early this morning and started stitching on it right away. It's close though. I am almost done. As soon as I finish the white in the rest of the shower curtain, I will be done with all the actual cross stitches, and then I just need to do the black back stitching for the bathroom and a little bit, half of the window and a little bit of the roof up there. So it's possible I may have this done today, which is good because then I need to do the other one tomorrow maybe. but it's close. I have really enjoyed this one. I love dollhouses. I love the colors. It has just been so fun. I'm definitely doing more. Well, I have another Sodastitch was one of my mania pieces, Sky Blue Street. And I have a couple more in my stash. So I'll definitely be doing more Sodastitch patterns. I really like them. This is 40 count rainbow linen by Silkweaver. And it is the called for DMC colors that the chart calls for. The other piece, the tiny one that I had to add to make it big enough, is it's a little zipper bag that has the linen sewed in it already. You buy it as a little kit. I got it at Shepherd's Bush in Ogden. It came with the bag and the floss and the pattern. And the designer is Shepherd's Bush. And it says Busy Bee on it. It has a couple buttons that come with it to put on. That's what it will look like when it's finished. So you actually stitch on the finished bag, which I have never done before, so this could be interesting. And I have the floss on these. Floss keeps. These are the colors. So if all goes well, I'll have that done by tomorrow night at 10 p.m. Fun, fun. But that's good. Then I'll have 2 more pieces off of my whip list. Okay, stocking. I worked on the stocking a lot when I was in Green River, but I did work on it a little bit since I got back. It will become my main objective as soon as I finish Petite House and that other little Busy Bee piece. This will be definitely a focus because I need to have it finished. I would love to have it finished by the end of June because that's half of the year, and then I would like to finish the stocking for my other daughter-in-law the second half of the year, so they're done by Christmas. Here's what it's looking like. I did finish that red and white checkered dishcloth that's hanging on the chair, and that little Christmas tree with the little gingerbread men on it. Still enjoying this one. I made this series. Oh, this is by Better Homes and Gardens. We're the publisher of the Cross Stitch and Country Crafts magazines back in the 80s and 90s and into 2000, I think. Can't remember now. I think so. I subscribed back then, got all the issues, still have all the issues, will never be giving them away. And then Better Homes and Gardens, oh, I took it out, republished. There are 10 stockings in the series, I believe. They republished 9 of them in a booklet form, which has been printed and gone out of print twice now. But sometimes you can find that on eBay. It's just called Heirloom Stocking Series by Better Homes and Gardens. It's a little paperback booklet type thing. And then now these stockings are also available on the Cooler Design Studio website, Kooler. And then also 123 Stitch has started picking up several of them. They're listed as the Cooler Design Studio as the designer, if you're interested in those. But I have 4 children plus my husband and I, so I stitched 6 stockings when the kids were young. And that's their Christmas stockings that they've been using ever since. If you'd like to meet all of my children and have them each show you their stocking and hear how we lost Andrews, then you need to go back and watch the Flosstube from the first week in December. We filmed that part with the kids on Thanksgiving Day. That was fun. And then my 2 daughter-in-laws expressed an interest in having one that matched their husbands, so now I'm stitching one for them. And this one, this Holiday Kitchen is the name of this one. Was the one that Catherine has. She was my oldest daughter, so this was the first of the series that I ever stitched. a little over 30 years ago, and now I'm stitching it again. It's kind of cool because it's been over 30 years. There's some of it I have memories of stitching it, but there's a lot of it that I forgot about. It's kind of like really strong deja vu to be stitching it again. It's kind of cool. And then my daughter-in-law Lauren picked the music room, which was one of the ones I did not stitch for my family, so that will be fun. I get to do a different one. It has a lot of musical instruments sitting in it. All right. Arcade. Okay, so the June focus piece, as you saw by the poster, is supposed to be Arcade by Long Dog Samplers. That was a Mania start. And if I was, Arcade, where would I be? So this is what the pattern looks like. The letter R dash K-A-D-E, Arcade. And I think it looks like a forest of trees. I think each one of these is a tree. There's lots of little animals hiding around in the trees. There's this beautiful band of leafy band across there that I'm going to talk about in a minute when I show you the piece. First minute I saw this pattern, I was like, oh, I have to stitch that. I love trees. And I love the verse. It says, cares of tomorrow can wait until this day is done. And then it has so that's across here, right here. And then down here is an alphabet. And I chose to do it on 40 count conifer by Picture This Plus, which is a dark green. And I'm using silk from Silks For You, S-I-L-K-S, the number 4 and the letter U. She has an Etsy store. She's in Australia. But she sells hanks, an entire hank of silk. So I chose this color. It's a variegated, overdyed greens and oranges and browns and a little bit of yellow. And I had also bought this color from her to start with, but it didn't have enough. I wanted it to have more variegation. So I was saving this for another piece and then bought this one, which I love. That will make sense in a minute. So this is, and I did pull this out and work on it this week because it is June. I love how the camera changes the color. So this is more what the colors actually look like. This beautiful dark evergreen green. When I get up here, it's going to wash it out. There's a little squirrel. See his tail? Cute little squirrel here getting some acorns. This is the beginning of that leafy band that goes all the way across. And I realized that I would love for it to stand out a little bit. So I decided to use that first color silk that I ordered first. I decided to use that for that band all the way across, and then I will use it in a couple of other motifs to make it cohesive so it doesn't look like some weird thing all by itself. There are a few hearts in this pattern that she suggests maybe you could do in a different color, and I might do that. And then the lettering, I realized, I know I told you all when I started this for Mania that I was not going to manipulate these colors. I was just going to make sure I used a full strand before I went to the next strand so that all the colors were being repeated regularly, but I was not going to worry about it other than that. I do, however, when I've ended a thread and I'm going to start another thread, I have one long strand that I pull out, I cut that in half, so I have 4 ends to choose from to start with. I will choose the end that is closest to the color where I ended, so that it kind of gradually changes colors and not change abruptly. Every once in a while that doesn't work, and I'm not too worried about it. You can tell in this leg of this N that it goes from light to dark all of a sudden, but I'm okay with it. But the lettering, the dark green disappears into the fabric, which is exactly what I wanted it to do because I wanted it to look like sunlight on a forest where you can the sunlight's in little pieces in the forest, dappled. And I love it. I love how it's turning out. But I realized that that would not work so well for the lettering because then you wouldn't be able to read it. So I am manipulating the floss for the lettering and not using the dark green. I just cut out the parts that are the dark green. I am using the oranges, the yellows, and the light green for the letters so that they will for sure show. I don't know which way is better. And then I'll use that other color for this leafy band that goes all the way across and a couple other places in it. I am really enjoying this. It is such a beautiful piece and different from everything else that I'm working on. It was kind of an experiment and I'm very happy with how it has turned out. I really love it. And that silk is beautiful to work with. It pulls through like butter. It feels so good on your fingers. Just gorgeous, gorgeous silk. It does come from Australia. I got it within 2 weeks. I want to say somewhere between 10 days and 2 weeks, both times when I ordered it. Okay, and then Morning Has Broken. I told you on my last video that that was what I wish I was stitching on, and I did start it on June 1st as a stitch along with my friends in Salt Lake. And, oh, here it is. This is a class piece by Catherine Theron. See if I can see to show you. I started with so you buy a kit when you take the class, but this color green was very similar to the color of greens in Abecedare Berthe Dupont that I did not like, so I changed the greens to a different color. This piece has hardly any cross stitch in it at all. It is all specialty stitches. So this border up here is a satin sawtooth. This leaf is all satin. The middle of these flowers I think is Leviathan stitch. The border is of the dark yellow is a satin stitch. All of this dark green outlining is not long arm cross. What is it? A Smyrna? It's an X and a plus on top of each other. I'm sure you know which. Any of you who do specialty stitches are telling me the name right now. It's not coming to mind, but that's what those are. And then these little red strawberries are that same, whatever this dark green is, the base of these raspberries is. And then the berry part of the raspberry is over one, a half cross over one, petty point. And it just goes on from there. There's probably 10 more specialty stitches in here somewhere, but I am enjoying it. I have a picture under this pile of stuff. This is what it will look like when it's finished. It is not available to purchase anywhere. You have to take a class from her to get it. But she does teach all over the country. So if she ever comes to your area, her classes are well worth the money. She is a fabulous teacher. If you are interested in specialty stitches and samplers that have specialty stitches in them, she is a great, great class to take. Her directions are very clear. But if you happened to find this kit on Etsy or somewhere, or someone who had taken the class but didn't want it anymore, so was getting rid of it, just know that the directions are not all inclusive. She wrote the directions for someone who's taking her class. So you would have to be very familiar with specialty stitches and have taken a different class from her for these instructions to make sense to you probably. You'd have to work a little bit to figure them out otherwise. Like, I don't know what colors of floss are in there because she doesn't tell you what their actual name is, and that kind of thing. Does that make sense? But well worth it to take her class. Okay, and I took another class from her called Peaceable Kingdom. I had a chance to pop into my LNS, the Craft Center of Fine Stitchery in Salt Lake City. And this was the one I stayed for just a little bit and stitched, and I worked on this one while I was there, and I got a few more rows of this satin stitch grass done. Got down to that little boy's head, so excited. This is another one that has very little, if any, cross stitch on it. It's mostly specialty stitches, and it was a class piece as well. I do have a picture. I've been working on that for, I don't know, 6 years or something. I would love, it's on my Stitch 9 challenge, so I need to get it done. The top half looks like this, and you may notice that this top band, I have an actual photo of what I stitched for the top band as my homepage on my YouTube channel. So that's where that came from. And then as soon as I finish the house and the grass, I'll start on the bottom part of the sampler. That middle section is all over 1, petty point over 1. So that will be lots of fun. All right, I think that's all my whips. Let's move on to haul, which is this box here. So while I was at the Craft Center of Fine Stitchery, of course I did a little bit of shopping. I'm saving my money for StitchCon, so I didn't do as much shopping as I usually would. I love her Utah quarter needle minders that she has. This one has the delicate arch on it. And it has magnets on it, so it can be a neat needle minder. So cute. I always buy a couple when I'm there. And I got this Mill Hill heart kit called Valentine Heart. It comes with the perforated paper and the floss and the beads and everything, and a button to make it. I keep wanting to try a Mill Hill kit, so I'm thinking I might save this until February. My February piece is the red door. It's tiny, it won't take very long, so I'm thinking I'll have time in February to also maybe work on this one. Catherine, boss daughter's laughing in the background going, yeah, right, Mom, you're crazy. But that's what I got. I also got some white DMC floss that I needed. Oh, and some needles. Oh, they're clear over there. What are they called? Is it Pat's Favorite Needle? Something like that. You can buy them on the internet in great big packages, but she has them in little packages of 3 that are very affordable on a little ribbon that you can buy there. The ones with the gold eye. So I bought some of those. Sorry, I was going to show them to you, but they're clear over there. And then, oh, what is her name? Ariana was so sweet and sent me some floss. Thank you, Ariana. You are so wonderful. I will definitely put that to use. Put it in a safe place and put that to use. I keep seeing people stitching this Tomato Season by Not Forgotten Farm. It's available as a PDF download on Etsy on the Not Forgotten Farm page. So that is a big fat tomato right there in the middle. My family, I grew up on homegrown tomatoes. My dad always had a garden. I have had a garden since I got married, mostly just so I could grow tomatoes. We grow some other things, but the tomatoes are the most important part. We bottle tomatoes in the fall. I grew up on bottled quartered tomatoes and tomato juice, which makes the most wonderful macaroni and tomato juice soup that I grew up on, that my great-grandmother made and my grandmother made and my mother made. One of those comfort foods. If you didn't grow up on it, most people are just like, oh, that looks awful. So I had to have this piece. You see how I had to have this piece? Catherine Boss Daughter and Marie Bossy Daughter. Do you see how I had to have this piece? So definitely going to be stitching that. Maybe it will be part of my mania next year. I don't know. Excited about that one. I was supposed to be saving my money for StitchCon, but I had one of those weak moments on 1, 2, 3 Stitch. I keep seeing everyone working on their Cricut collection either the months of the year or the seasons, or this one is beach. And I want to do one really bad. Here is spring. I'm sure you've seen them because everybody's working on them. Here's winter, and the cricket collection, and here's autumn. Am I missing one? Autumn, winter, spring, summer is in here somewhere. It's somewhere. I have summer too. And then ever since this came out, I think it came out at market. I don't know. I have loved this. Every single time I see somebody working on it or a picture of it, I think, oh, I need that. You Had Me at Flamingo by Hands On Design. Maybe that will be for Mania next year too. And then the other series that's just been killing me every time I see it is the laundry series. Irony, the opposite of wrinkly. These are all by Hands On Design as well. Self-service, loads of fun, the laundry company. And laundry, the never-ending cycle. Those are so cute. They make me smile every time. Even though I'm not starting a Savior's Praise, I still needed to get the pattern because I'm going to do it someday. It's gorgeous. Brian at Blitzstitch, Blitstitch, the same one that's doing the Autumn Garden Drawn Stitch, he is also working on this right now. So is Vanna. Hi, Vanna. At the Twisted Stitcher, she's working on it. Oh, it's a beautiful piece. It has the most unique border with all of these wonderful things hidden in the border. And it has the words to the hymn, Now Thank We All Our God, on it. I really love this. It's by Shakespeare's Peddler. I will start that someday. Here's my summer. Told you I had summer. And I think that's the end. Now I'm down to the stuff I showed you last time, and I just haven't cleaned out of there yet. I was gonna go pull out an old finish, and then I forgot, but this video is already long enough, so we'll save that for next time. And what I wish I was stitching on is one of these crazy town rotation whips that I need to be working on. So now that it's summer, I can get a lot more stitching done and work on all of my whips. Thank you so much for joining, and joining me today. I will see you. Not sure if I'll make a video. I won't make a video before I leave a week from today. I may make a video in my hotel room or something while I'm in Ohio for 10 days. Otherwise, I won't be back until the beginning of July. So I will see you then, and I hope you all have wonderful stitchy time in between. Bye-bye.